The two Koreas reached an agreement Tuesday morning in which Seoul will end propaganda broadcasts as North Korea expresses its regret over recent provocations. Seoul showed determination to end the vicious cycle of North Korean provocations through the agreement, finally pressing Pyongyang to offer a rare expression of regret. And Korean researchers have discovered the cause for the recurrence of chronic myelogenous leukemia. The findings could help pave the way for a cure. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Tuesday, August 25th. I'm Luke Clary. High-level inter-Korean talks at last produced results early Tuesday morning to diffuse tension on the peninsula. North Korea expressed its regret over the mine attacks that maimed two South Korean soldiers, while South Korea put a stop to its anti-North Korea loudspeaker campaign starting at noon Tuesday.
Amid escalating tension, South and North Korean officials at last reached a deal and announced a six-point agreement early Tuesday morning. The key issue for the latest talks was North Korea's apology for the recent mine blasts near the border. North Korea expressed its regret over the incident and pledged to prevent similar occurrences in the future.
북측은 최근 군사분계선 비무장지대 남측 지역에서 발생한 지뢰 폭발로 남측 군인들이 부상을 당한 것에 대하여 유감을 표명하였다.
North Korea also agreed to lift the quasi-state of war declared on its frontline areas. In return, South Korea will accept the North's demand to stop the anti-North loudspeaker propaganda.
남측은 비정상적인 사태가 발생하지 않는 한 군사분계선 일대의 모든 확성기 방송을 8월 25일 12시부로 중단하기로 하였다.
South Korean Presidential Security Advisor Kwan-jin explained that the condition of resuming the loudspeaker campaign in case of an abnormal incident is tantamount to North Korea promising to prevent recurrences of similar attacks.
As another result of marathon inter-Korean talks, South and North Korea have also agreed to hold family reunions around the Chuseok Thanksgiving holiday and government-level talks either in Seoul or in Pyongyang as soon as possible.
Seoul and Pyongyang discussed a wide range of issues related to the development of inter-Korean relations at the marathon talks between high-level officials of the two Koreas. The most noteworthy result was the agreement to hold reunions of separated families around the Chuseok national holiday this year and to make such reunions a regular practice in the future.
남과 북은 올해 추석을 계기로 이산가족 상봉을 진행하고 앞으로 계속해 나가기로 하였으며
A working-level meeting between Red Cross officials from both sides will take place in early September to start preparations for the family reunions. The two Koreas have also agreed to set a framework for government talks in order to bring inter-Korean relations to a higher level.
남과 북은 남북관계를 개선하기 위한 당국자 회담을 서울 또는 평양에서 빠른 시일 내에 개최하며
President Park Geun-hye said earlier that if the talks ended well, they would pave the way for coexistence between the two Koreas. If the two sides manage to resume government-level talks, they will likely hold positive discussions of the lifting of the May 24 sanctions and the resumption of Mount Kumgang tours. Another outcome of the recent talks was an agreement to bolster private sector exchanges in various areas.
But the situation hurtling toward military confrontation with no solution in sight over the weekend, the delegates stuck it out to reach this successful agreement this morning. Pyongyang went so far as to express its regret over the recent provocations on the border, a rare outcome.
The South Korean government resumed its anti-North Korea propaganda campaign after 11 years following the landmine blasts in the Demilitarized Zone that maimed two South Korean soldiers on August 4th. The North countered by shelling the loudspeakers near the border. However, the regime kept claiming that the mine and artillery attacks were not its doing, even while its senior officials were engaged in talks with their South Korean counterparts. Nonetheless, Seoul stuck to its stance that it will not stop the psychological warfare against the North without Pyongyang's apology. As a result, South Korea was able to reach a dramatic agreement with North Korea, the prime objective of which was the suspension of the loudspeaker campaign. In particular, North Korea's expression of regret is considered a rare outcome.
북한은 우리 국민들에게 불안과 위기를 조성하고 양보를 받아내 왔는데 우리 정부에서는 그것이 절대로 통하지 않는다는 것을 북한도 확인하였을 것입니다.
The presidential office of Cheongwade assessed that the latest inter-Korean agreement is the result of its determination to sever North Korea's vicious cycle of provocation, in which the North triggers military provocations to create a crisis in order to obtain a chance for dialogue and compensation.
Leukemia is a hard-to-treat disease with a high recurrence rate. Korean researchers have become the world's first to discover the cause of recurrence of chronic myelogenous leukemia, and the finding could help pave the way for finding a cure.
The TV show Autumn in My Heart was a huge hit not only in Korea but in many other countries. It's a heartbreaking story about a woman who suffers from leukemia and eventually dies, leaving her boyfriend alone. Chronic myelogenous leukemia, which mostly affects adults, is regarded as an incurable disease because of its high recurrence rate of 40%. Cancer drugs such as Gleevec can kill leukemia cells temporarily, but they cannot destroy the stem cells that supply leukemia cells, which results in frequent recurrence of the disease. Korean researchers have become the world's first to find out the cause of the recurrence, which lies in small protein fragments in the body. The body consists of multiple protein fragments. When they enter cells through an enzymatic reaction involving dipeptide transporters, stem cells begin to grow. The researchers hope to develop a new cancer drug within 2 or 3 years after conducting clinical trials this year based on their findings.
The often criticized expensive tolls for the Incheon International Airport Expressway will be substantially lowered come September. This move is likely to affect other privately funded expressways accused of charging high tolls.
The Incheon International Airport Expressway spans 40.2 kilometers from the Panghwa Bridge to Incheon International Airport. Drivers have been complaining about the tolls, which are 2.6 times higher than other expressways run by the state-affiliated Korea Expressway Corporation.
편도에 내고 또 다시 돌아오니까 그러면은 그게 거의 15,000원 그 정도니까 많이 비싸죠.
As of September 1st, tolls for small passenger cars will be lowered by about 84 cents and larger vehicles by $1.84. Over the past few years, private businesses have been borrowing money at low interest rates. They have been refinancing their pockets by sharply cutting back on their capital and shifting to low-interest loans, which made the impending toll adjustment possible. It is also very likely that the lowered tolls for the Incheon International Airport Expressway could lead other privately funded highways to follow suit. For instance, the overseers of the Yongin-Seoul Expressway are working out the details of a new toll plan, and the northern route of the Seoul Ring Expressway is under pressure to cut tolls as well. It remains to be seen whether low-interest loans will compel privately funded expressways to lower their tolls.
While local governments around the nation are preparing for the approaching typhoon, there may be a silver lining to the coming storm. Some hope that it will help minimize the rapidly spreading damage caused by red tides.
Liquefied oxygen is infused into a fish farm. A large tank is filled with clean seawater in advance. Facilities are being inspected beforehand to prepare for potential damage from red tides and the approaching typhoon.
환수를 시켰을 경우에 액화선수 광시 또 수중본부도 보조금을 좀 지급하고 해서 발전기 시설이라든지 여러 가지 시설도 액화 시설을 다 돼 있으니까
Red tide damage has put the entire nation on high alert, but some say that the approaching Typhoon Goni could make the red tide subside. Once the typhoon arrives, its gusty winds will likely disperse red tide organisms, lowering their density. The winds could also push cold water from the deeper areas of the ocean toward the surface, thus preventing red tides from spreading. The clouds brought by the typhoon could in turn create unfavorable ecological conditions for red tide organisms due to a lack of sunshine. However, experts say it's too early to rest assured because if the typhoon brings heavy rains, nutritive salts contained in soil will likely flow into the ocean.
A drunk driver violently lashed out at a bus driver who honked at him. He even smashed the bus window and front door, terrifying the passengers on board. Here's a look.
This car glides across lanes. It suddenly stops and the driver gets out. He storms toward a bus, shouting, and begins to kick at the front door. He's furious the bus driver honked at him. Still fuming, the man brings construction material from a nearby site and strikes the front window on the bus driver's side several times. The window is smashed and glass shards pour over the bus driver's head, startling the passengers.
시민들도 마찬가지로 그냥 막 돈질을 하고 또 그 술 먹은 사람이 와가지고서 창문에 와서 여자 선생님한테 명령을 하고 막 욕을 하고 그러니까 여자 선생님 놀래서 뭐 뒤로 도망가고.
The injured bus driver is being treated at a hospital. When the police arrested the 37-year-old perpetrator surnamed Kim, he was completely intoxicated with a blood alcohol content of 0.116%. Kim has been booked on charges of violating the Road Traffic Act.
The rock outfit Yoon Do-hyun Band, or YB, will perform as a star guest at a leading Russian rock festival. The band will also sing a song by the late Soviet musician Viktor Tsoi, still adored by many Russian fans. This and more in our Culture News Roundup.
The Yoon Do-hyun Band, or YB, will grace the stage at the V-Rocks Festival, the largest music festival in Russia. Performing on the main stage on August 29th, YB will sing in Russian the song Blood Type by legendary Russian rock star Viktor Tsoi, who was a third-generation ethnic Korean. Some 70 bands from around the world, including the US and UK, will take part in this year's V-Rocks Festival.
작전은 5분 안에 끝내고 우린 살아서 돌아갈 겁니다.
Korean action flick Assassination is rising in the accumulated box office rankings, currently standing as the 10th most watched film in domestic theaters to date. The film drew nearly 11.6 million moviegoers in just 1 month, and its success continues, having already surpassed hit Korean films The Attorney and tidal wave Haeundae in overall ticket sales. Park Yoo-chan, a member of the boy band JYJ who will be starting his military service on Thursday, will greet viewers one last time with a documentary film entitled The Piano. Park donated his voice as a narrator free of charge in the film documenting the life story of Yeeun, a visually impaired piano prodigy.
For many people, there's nothing more refreshing on a hot summer day than an ice-cold beer. But when temperatures are high, cold beer becomes an even hotter commodity. Here's more.
Beer tastes different according to the temperature. The higher the temperature, the weaker is the beer's ability to capture carbon dioxide and maintain foam, which in turn affects its taste and aroma. Here's how to make your beer cold again in a short period of time. All you need is a napkin, some water, and aluminum foil. Wrap one of the beers with a napkin soaked in water and the other one with aluminum foil. Then keep the 3 beer cans refrigerated for 10 minutes. Compare with the beer that was refrigerated unwrapped. The beer that is wrapped with a wet napkin got 7 degrees colder. The beer wrapped with aluminum foil became colder by 4 degrees.
물에 젖은 휴지로 감싸게 되면 휴지 속에 물이 기화하면서 열을 빼앗아서 달아나는 흡열 반응을 하게 됩니다. 또한 알루미늄은 열 전도율이 대단히 큰 금속 중에 하나이기 때문에 냉장고 속 냉기를 음료에 빨리 전달할 수가 있습니다.
To make beer cold outdoors, use ice and salt. We put one beer in a bowl filled with ice and the other one with a bowl filled with ice and salt and check them 5 minutes later.
얼음이랑 소금 들어있는 게 3배 더 시원한 것 같아요.
The beer that was kept in an ice bowl came out to 19 degrees, while the beer that was kept in the bowl with ice and salt was recorded at 5 degrees colder, measuring 14 degrees Celsius.
소금을 더하게 되면 녹는 점이 더욱 낮아지게 되면서 얼음이 더욱 빨리 녹게 됩니다. 또한 이 소금이 물에 녹는 반응도 흡열 반응이기 때문에 온도를 쉽게 낮출 수가 있습니다.
Another way to enjoy cold drinks in the summer is to make a slush using a carbonated beverage. Just shake the drink rigorously and put it into the freezer. About an hour later, take it out and shake slightly. The drink is still in a liquid state, so it will turn into a slush right away. Using these simple rules of science, you can enjoy cold drinks throughout the hot summer, or even have some fun with your kids conducting these easy scientific experiments.
Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Goodbye.